Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Dave Noonan. Welcome to the Meditation Minute. And we're trying to find out through meditation how to shed the light of consciousness onto the subconscious. So today we're going to talk about brain waves and whether we're mentally active, resting, or sleep. The brain is always has some level of electrical activity. And meditation enables us to move from higher frequency brainwaves to the lower frequency brainwaves, which activates different centers in the brain. Okay? And so learning to train the brain and focus our attention is what we're trying to accomplish here. So there's really 5 categories of brain waves. I'm going to go through those really quick. First one is gamma. Okay, so gamma is a state of hyperactivity or very active learning, and it's most opportune time to retain information. So if you go to like a Tony Robbins event or some seminar or something that's all rah rah and get you all pumped up, this is the gamma state that we get into, and there's a lot of emotion involved, right? Okay, so that's gamma. The next one is beta, and in the beta state, this is where we function most of our day. And so it's really associated with our alert mind. And it happens in our prefrontal cortex or the conscious brain, right? That's where our conscious brain is, in our frontal brain, right? And this is where we are in a state of working or thinking, the analytical planning, assessing and categorizing. This all happens in this beta state. So we're in it most of the day, right? And then the next level is called alpha. Now, alpha brainwaves start to really slow down the thinking part of our mind. Okay, it slows that down, and we feel calm, peaceful. We feel grounded. We often find ourselves in an alpha state after maybe a yoga class or a walk in the woods, or even after a pleasurable sexual experience. Anything that's going to help us relax both in body and in mind, all right? And we really begin to access the unconscious mind or the non-conscious mind in this state. And that's what we're really trying to attempt here in our meditation. So an interesting thing that happens in the alpha state as well is something that we call neural integration. And so in neural integration, it means that we're start to balance out the hemispheres of our brain. And something very cool about meditation is that we found that there's actually a structure in the middle of our brain called the corpus callosum. And what happens during meditation, it actually expands. And that is where the integration between the two hemispheres happens. So we all, or not all, but maybe you've heard that the left side of the brain is a very analytical, egoic mind, very, into problem solving, very logical. The right brain is more creative, more artsy, more, musical maybe. So if when we're young, we tend to split and go one way or the other. Okay, so maybe Johnny's like, wow, he's really good at math, and he gets pushed in a math situation all the time, and he's very good at that. So he develops that part of his brain very young age. Or maybe Sarah is very good at music, or she can draw really great, and that's really pushed by her parents, and all of a sudden she develops that side. And so typically we split one way or the other when we're young, and we develop one side better than the other. It doesn't mean the other side's not there, but we just don't experience it as much, right? Because we're not in that side of the brain most of the time. Okay, so what meditation can do is expand that corpus callosum, increase the integration between the hemispheres, and we can actually discover parts of it that have been there all the time, maybe creative things that we never knew we had, or maybe become a better problem solver because of meditation and this integration. So it's pretty cool. It's actually just kind of a little side there. The next state we want to talk about is actually the theta state. And this is where we really get into meditation, deep meditation. And this is where the verbal thinking mind transitions into the real meditative visual mind. It's all about visualization here. And we begin to move from into a deeper state of awareness at this point, and tap into the universal intelligence and really start to experience the quantum field, or access that at this point, okay? And then the last one is what we call delta state. And Tibetan monks actually have been meditating for decades, can actually reach this state in an awakened phase. However, for most of us, we're pretty much conked out and into dreamless sleep. Okay, we're out. Okay, so that's delta, and it's kind of flatline for our brain. So, so imagine if we look at a sports car, and say you're in your sports car and you start out and you drive it in first gear, and you start out. Now, first gear is a lot like beta, so where we have a lot of power, right? So in our conscious mind, we're thinking, we're doing, we're dreaming, we're creating, we're planning, we're doing all this stuff. There's a lot of power in there, but we can't stay there forever, right? We'll burn out, right? So our body has to shift gears. Our mind, our brain has to shift gears into second gear or into a slower wave, right? And so think about what happens in a sports car when you shift it into second gear. You go faster, but the engine slows down, right? It's not burning out so much. And the same thing happens in third and fourth and fifth gear, to where we're flying down the road, but the motor is really just purring, right? And that's where we want to get our mind to work, to where we have a lot of action happening. However, we're in a meditative, slow down brain state. So you remember that 95% of our day is really controlled by this non-conscious, subconscious mind. So the reason for meditating is to leave that 5% and impose what we want onto that rewritten program, so we can rewrite it for success. So this is Dr. Dave Noonan. Thanks for tuning in today. Meditation Minute. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.